Hey guys, welcome back to the High Homes YouTube channel. So you're thinking about moving to Spain. The real costs, we're gonna talk about it, no fluff, the reality. How much does it cost to move to Spain? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the cost of moving over. So a lot of people in our audience will be all over the world and they're thinking to make a move. So there's an element of financial planning that comes into making the move, if it's just you, yourself, or you a couple and you or your kids. So run us through how you prepared your sort of financials coming over to Spain and how you forecasted your costs. How did that start?
Yeah, it was very complex. It wasn't so we decided we were making the move to Spain about a year before we actually did. So from making the decision to moving, it was exactly 1 year. So we had to obviously think of financials. That's the biggest thing. I mean, the dream is alive in our heads, but can we make this a reality?
Sure.
So we sold our business. We were done with that. We sold our property. The reason we sold everything is because we knew when we made the jump, we're making the jump
That's
for
like
good.
full commitment. Like
Full
there's no
commitment.
going back.
Yeah,
That's
we were
incredible.
Like, we are moving to Spain. We're doing it.
So how many months before you put your foot in Spain was the business and property sold?
So business was sold April of 2020, and we moved August 2020. So it was very quick. Our house, our property in Canada, sold like 1 week before we left on our flight. So it was, you can imagine, it was so tight. It was like boom, 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 boom. But yeah, we made it happen. So yes, thinking about financials, we really had to see what equity we had in our savings and investments, and then plan at least our first year in Spain.
So that was your goal. Like, okay, I'm moving to Spain. I want to have the first 12 months sort of, financially free so I can get my root in Spain.
Exactly.
That was your...
Exactly. So, so first thing, we looked at locations, as anyone would do. We were married in Barcelona, like I told you before, but we decided the Costa del Sol was the place to be to raise our family, and we're so happy we did. So finding a location and then looking for where we're going to live.
And you decided to rent.
We did.
Let's say before buying and committed to purchase a property.
We did. We decided to rent because we, for obvious reasons, like so many people do, we don't know the area. We don't know if we're going to like it. We did a rental for 1 year. In hindsight, we can talk about later. I wish we purchased quicker than we settled into that 1 year contract. But
can you walk us through like the financial commitment of renting a property? In your case, what your financial commitment was?
Yeah.
And did you rent it before you went in it? So basically, you rented it from Canada. Is that right?
Yes, we did. So it was all around the same time we sold our business, sold our house. We found a property to rent, which is so difficult.
Totally.
The search portals from overseas to look for something in Spain can
everything's very outdated, so you'll find things which are not even available anymore.
Exactly. Prices aren't right. So one of the places we did find, the agent who was listing this property did do a virtual tour with us multiple times. We ended up speaking to the owner, so we felt confident with it.
What kind of property was it?
It was a villa.
Okay.
A villa. We went with a great big villa with a great big property and a private pool because that's what we were used to in Canada. So we thought, with the kids only being 1 and 2, we're used to something. Yeah, we're used to a bigger home, bigger things. So we went with that option.
Can I ask you pricing?
The price at the time was 2,500 euros a month. However, we have to remember that was in COVID, so that was when the Costa del Sol was a little bit more quiet. In San Pedro, so close to the kids' school that we chose for them, but 2,500 euros a month, and we had to sign a 1 year contract.
That's a heavy load of money. So 30K out, more actually.
More. No? It was like, and even putting that to Canadian dollars, it was a lot. So a 1 year contract, and what we didn't know, and we thought this was strange, they made us pay 12 months upfront plus an attached agency fee to pay the agent who's listing it, plus 2 months deposit. So that was a huge chunk of money for us to invest for 1 year.
So like generally speaking in Spain, for people that don't know how Spain works, if you're a Spaniard, right,
Yeah.
and you have a work contract here and everything, it's quite easy to get a rental property.
Yes.
You'll pay 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. Let's say that some people pay 6 months. A
Yeah.
year is a lot.
A year is a lot. And just so you guys know, now that I'm working in real estate, I do understand that when you are not in the EU and you don't have, you know, income tax slips to show, you are expected to pay 12 months in advance, because the rental market here is very competitive.
It's very hard to get a good property.
It's very hard to get a good property. So yeah.
You pay 12 months up front, and what else? Because you had the agency fee, correct? And I mean,
Yes.
it's not only 12 months. That's best case scenario.
It was basically 13 months. So that was the agency fee plus the 2 month deposit. So that's a big amount up front. And then there were little things that we asked the agency to do, like repaint some of the walls. It was a little bit older. We just wanted to have it feel fresh, add some air conditioning, just because again we're Canadian and the heat kills us. So it was just little things like that. But yeah, things you don't think of when you're first budgeting.
So right out the gate, you're basically at 15 months rent.
Yeah, right out of the gate. We decided to use a shipping container to ship our goods also. So a lot of things like baby rocking chairs and all this stuff, we ended up getting a huge shipping container, and that cost us about 12,000 euros to ship from Canada to Spain, which, oh my goodness.
Would you
now
do that
we
again?
look back, definitely no. I tell people this all the time, do not get the shipping container. Sell everything, start fresh in Spain. It's not worth the price, I think.
Or, I mean, maybe store it there and keep it there for a while and just send it bit by bit.
Send bit by bit. Yeah,
Sell
that
it.
would make more sense.
In a bit, we'll talk about buying versus renting.
Yeah.
For a first-time relocator.
Yeah.
So we've got property, we've got, let's say, your belongings, which you're shipping over, and then obviously like transportation. You guys rented a car or you bought a car?
The boys were little. We needed transportation, and again, this is something we didn't know before coming here. You know, looking on the map, we were 3 kilometers inland from the beach, but that's 3 kilometers up a very mountainous area. So at first we thought we would make do with walking everywhere, you know, getting fit, pushing the boys in the stroller, but once we got here we realized we need a car and we want to explore and see everything. So yes, we bought a car after about 2 weeks of being here.
2 weeks in.
Yeah.
So that's the next, obviously, expense, which is car. In your case, kids. So you had to choose a school, and you went for a private school.
Yes, we did. So, you know, moving here from Canada, we weren't sure about how it works, the Spanish public system or the international system, but the kids were also very small, and we found a school called Casa del Mar Montessori in San Pedro, and it's a beautiful school, but the cost of it per month for each child, again, we just wanted them to land in a safe spot, and it's a gorgeous school, but oh my goodness, after 2 years of having them in that school, we realized, oh my goodness, international schools can be very expensive in Spain.
Totally. So for the viewers that don't know how it works in Spain, there's 2 kinds of schools, right? So you've got the public schools, and then you have the private schools.
Yeah.
Public schools, I'm not sure if you can enroll your child when you move over the same year. I don't think that's even possible because you need to register yourself in the system, right?
Exactly.
So that's why you guys chose, well, and then you stayed there. But I think you no matter what, if you relocate with kids, you kind of have to go private for the first year.
This is a good point. You
right?
do.
Because
you do.
even with my kids that are Spanish, if I want to get them into a specific school, there's a point system, depends where you live, you need to be registered. So I'm nearly certain that for people that are relocating with kids, you need to move into a private school. So public schools are completely free of cost. Private schools, I would say they range between 650 euros a month up to, I mean, 1,800 a month, depending on the international school.
Depending on the school, and some of them per grade they increase in cost. So
yeah, exactly. The younger they are, the cheaper, and and as they get older. By the way, that's a great video for another time. Like top schools in Costa del Sol.
I know.
We'll make a note of that one, Luna. That's a great video.
Great.
So, property, shipping your belongings, buy a car, enroll the kids. What else is the next sort of thing you need to sort of tick off the list? healthcare, I suppose, the next thing you want to take off the list. What do you guys do? What did you guys do for healthcare?
Yeah, so for healthcare, that was part of our visa requirement.
Okay.
Not everyone has to. If you're inside the EU, I don't think so. But for our visa, we had to have, insurance for our healthcare. So that, again, another thing that adds up per month that we had to pay. I think it was 6 months ahead of time just to show that you're good for it for your first 6 months. So again, another big chunk of money that goes out right off the hop as well.
So let's talk about health insurance. Like in my case with my wife Laura and 2 kids in Spain, we are paying around 350 euros a month.
It is very cheap.
Yeah, so I think healthcare in Spain is quite cheap. For the this morning I went to do a blood analysis and you don't have to pay for it. So normally if you paid for the blood sample, it'd be 500 euros.
Yeah.
Our healthcares in Spain are really good. So
yeah, healthcare is so good here too. It's very quick and easy to do, affordable for sure.
So that's really the main things, and then from there onwards, it will be your ongoing sort of running costs, which are a lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
Which depends on the family, depends your spending habits, depends on a million things.
Yeah.
But if we have to add that all up, right? So just for our viewers to put it in context, we have property, shipping. Oh, another one, visa and paperwork.
Yes, visa. That can be quite lengthy and expensive as well because the visa process itself, and then if you, use a lawyer or somebody to represent you, so that can be pricey. Just
for the sake of our audience, let's talk figures, right? So for a couple, let's take kids out of the equation just to make a simple calculation. You're a couple anywhere in the world and you decide to move to Spain, and you want to have 6 months of financial costs covered, right?
Yeah.
So out the gates, what are those costs? Let's just sort of recap on what they would be. So first of all, let's say the average rental property is between 1,500 to 1,800 to get a good property.
Agreed.
Right? I mean, if you want to get a villa, you can spend 2.5, 3.5, but that's up to personal preference. Then you've got fees. So let's say rental out the gates, 6 months, 9,600 euros. You'd need, let's say, budget of 1,200 euros per person for flying over here. It could be a lot less than that. It could be whatever. 1,000 euros general for paperwork, so immigration, visas or whatever. To rent a car for 6 months, around 1,800 euros if you want to pay that up front. And then to pay 6 months of health insurance for 2 people, around 900 euros for the 6 months. So let's say just out the gates, a young couple would, if they wanted to financially sort of secure the first 6 months, they'd be spending 17,300 euros. 60% of that is your rent. So that is the figure, guys. 17,300, depending on your scenario. If you have kids, you have to have kids, healthcare, and a lot more things. That's really interesting.
It is very interesting.
We've talked about sort of costs out the gate. Yes. To move over, if you wanted to pay 6 months up front, which not everyone needs to. Let's talk about the really interesting part, which is running costs, financial costs of living in Spain. Where would you like to start?
Yeah, I mean, it's so important. Those living costs are the reality month to month. I mean, Kian, you've been here your whole life. You really know the market. I feel like maybe you would give a more accurate...
So I'll talk about rental and mortgages, which I think is maybe the easiest sort of point to start. I'd say that if you're single, you find a nice property for 900 euros a month, small apartment. If you're a couple, you find a nice property for 1,300, 1,400, depends on your standard.
True.
If you're a family, you're easily around the 1,900 to 2,200 mark for more space. And then if you were to buy a property and get a mortgage on a property, depends on the value of the property. So approximately 200,000 euros in mortgage of 30 years in Spain is around 700 euros a month. So 200,000 would be 700. If you have a 400,000 euro mortgage, you'd be at 1,400. If you're at 600, which is already a very decent property, you'd be at 2,200 euros a month mortgage. So that's where those prices are. Everyone's got their sort of different property standards and what they want is different, but that's the running cost depending on if you buy a property or you rent a property. Tell me about utilities. How surprised were you when you started paying utilities?
Yeah, surprisingly very, very affordable. Like it's great. We pay about max 180 euros a month, which we found so much more affordable than what it was.
On electric?
On electric, yeah.
Okay. And water?
Water is separate, so it's about 50 euros a month.
Okay. So next thing, groceries. Where do you shop?
Actually, this took a couple of years to find our favorite, but we really like Aldi.
Aldi is nice.
Yeah.
Aldi is nice. Okay, so how much do you spend in Aldi a month?
We spend about, I mean, depends on the month, but I would say anywhere from 800, 900 euros
For a family,
a month. I mean, that's a family with 2 boys, 2 animals.
Let's talk about eating out. It depends on lifestyle really, but
Yeah.
how much do you guys spend on eating out?
Eating out, not much. I mean, our first year here, we were going to all the nice places because we were super excited, but now, really not much. I would say 500, 600 euros a month.
That's great. They've got people that spend, $6,000 a month, but I think like that's, if anywhere between 250 and 450, 500, 600 is kind of normal.
I know, even that sometimes, it just depends on the month again, right?
I honestly think, my experience is you pay for what you get. Like me and Lara and the kids will go down to we have a Chinese restaurant down the road, and you can sit down and have a nice dinner and a glass of wine or whatever, and you spend 65, 70 euros.
Exactly.
It's not expensive,
No, it's not expensive.
But then you can go to, you go to Bruno and have a date night out for 70 euros with a nice glass of wine as well. Now, if you want to spend $5,000, there's plenty of places that offer that, right?
Yeah, you choose your lifestyle here because you can totally spend 5,000 euros in a month, no problem.
Or a night.
I mean, you have
if you want to.
You have the options of amazing Michelin star restaurants, but if you want, you can really just not spend that much. And we found our little favorite places, little Spanish tapas bar. I mean, €1 a coffee, €1 a Kenya beer. Like, that's incredible. So we've really found our places where we want to spend our money.
So I'll talk about the next point, which is transport, right? Because you guys bought a car.
We did.
So, funny enough, I don't know if people won't know this, but Spain's actually one of the expensive spots in Europe for cars. Secondhand cars in Spain are one of...
Is it?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, people don't know. I get European clients that go, wow, that secondhand car is that price? Spain is not the cheapest place for secondhand cars. So a lot of the times you decide to rent a car. And renting a car in Spain can cost from $350 a month, which is for like a Fiat 500, all the way up to, let's say, a nice car, which would be $800 to $900. But people normally end up buying a car because, and buying a good car, I would say you're spending between 16 to 20 grand. I think that's more or less what you want to be spending. Of course, if you want to spend 60 grand, you can. But that's what I would say.
Renting a car when we moved to Spain is something we didn't even think about. But
you went out and just bought it.
Yeah, we just bought it. But that might have been a nice option too, to save a little bit of money too at the start. I don't know, something to think about.
You guys went all out, like literally,
out.
bam, 1 year, bam, car.
Yeah.
That's generally if we talk about the real cost of living in Costa del Sol in Spain, that would be it. So, for those that would be searching for a job.
Yes.
A lot of people do come over with a job in place. If you don't have a job in place, how was your journey, or you and Luke's journey, finding work?
Yeah, so
to pay for those bills.
And we get these questions a lot, like, "Oh, I'm relocating to Spain. What work can I do, or what is there out there?" But for us, it was easier because I did a little bit of real estate in Canada, so I knew that this is something that I wanted to dive into because the real estate here is fantastic. Like my other video guys that I already did, but you have villas, you have apartments, you have beachside homes, you have mountain homes, fincas. It's so exciting here. So real estate here is, it's a no-brainer. It's a dream for me. Luke is continuing in his line of work, which is healthcare, and he's doing a supplement company right now for men's longevity. So he's actually working online. So we're both sort of found things that we can still do.
So would the answer be, if you have a skill set, or you have, let's say, a background, or let's say you come over with a profession that you've been doing in your own country, there's, let's say, you can always find a way to do what you did there here.
Yeah.
Generally speaking.
Generally, I would say that for sure.
How did Luke find working in Spain in his line of business? Was language an issue?
It wasn't actually, and again, this is something we were shocked about. We were a little nervous coming to Spain, not knowing Spanish, not being fluent. But what we found was the majority of his clients and where he found work all spoke English. But I think because English is the common language within business and different countries from all over Europe. So for us, it was easier to work right away and just speak English.
We have so many clients of ours that, you know, move over and start working on the ground here. But another important thing to sort of mention for our audience, which is watching this video, is that Malaga is becoming a tech hub.
Yeah.
Right? So
very neat.
There's also a lot of people which are moving over to Spain, not Spain, Malaga, with tech ideas, tech businesses, and running them from here. And that's a very popular thing. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how many clients of ours in the last 12 months have come over. They continue working in their job or they're working on their business, but they just work from here.
From here, yep. It's quite interesting, actually.
What's the name of that place in Marbella that it's called the Pool? Have you heard about the Pool?
No, I haven't.
Going back to what you were saying about Luke creating this supplement company.
company.
It's such a good networking place, Marbella, Malaga. Like you meet so many interesting people that could even help you grow the business.
He wouldn't even have started doing this without the people that he met in Marbella. You get people from everywhere doing these amazing things that you wouldn't even dream existed. So we really lucked out and met some great people to help him with this journey. So it's a nice place for making connections, I would say, Marbella. There's interesting people.
So, Cass, if you would go back and speak to that Cass from so many years ago, just when you decided to make a move to Spain and when you were selling the property, what would you tell that Cass and that Luke today?
I would say, good job, Cass and Lou. So proud of you. You took the jump. You're here. You know, there's been challenges, but look at life now. So for sure that. The other thing that Cass and Luke, I would maybe say, you know, maybe don't put so much money forward right away, like making more of a smarter financial decision. Like, for example, the 12 months upfront, lots of rent in a big villa, maybe purchasing a nicer car than we needed. Maybe we would have rented something. Little things like that. Take your time, get here, know that it's safe, secure. There's tons of people to help you when you're on ground. So take your time to get to know those people, find help where you need, and, you know, look at the different areas for property. But other than that, you know, pretty happy with the decision on the whole.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. And I know you had a crazy busy day ahead, so thanks for making the time.
Always time to help, you know. There's so many people asking the same questions, so I love this. And it's my first Costa Insights.
Oh, it is? Yeah. There you go. Yeah. Actually, perfect time. If you have, you know, any topics that you would like us to talk about, to, you know, chat about, feel free to comment those below. And we'll do the best to keep on delivering some incredible content your way. So that's really it. Bye. Hasta luego.